Hello, beautiful sister. So I wanted to share a few words about the waning moon, which is the phase that we're in now. This is the phase between the full moon and the new moon. And especially with what's going on globally, this can be the most challenging phase. So especially now, I wanted to share a little bit about what the energies are like at this time. So the outer moon phase is waning, the time between the full moon and the new moon. We also have an inner moon phase, and that is our own inner moon cycle. And so your internal waning phase is the period between ovulation and menstruation, when you start bleeding. So think about where you're at in your phase right now, because your inner moon phase may not always sync up with the outer moon phase, and that can start to cause imbalance and confusion if you don't know how to work with these energies. It can cause you to feel like you're being pulled in two different directions. So especially if the outer moon phase is a full moon and your internal moon phase is new moon, like when you're in your bleeding time, that's going to create a lot of disharmony unless you understand the energies and you have the tools to create balance. Because if you do have an awareness and an understanding of what's going on, what's happening outside of you, what's happening inside of you, and you have the tools and the practices to create balance, then you will. The waning moon phase is the time when we are most connected to the enchantress archetype. It's when we are in our most witchy selves, the self that transmutes and transforms and plays with magic and really goes inward in order to find the light. This is a time of coming inward to find enlightenment. And so this is a time when we're all being called to come inward. And so the fact that we are now in the waning moon phase, so externally, there's also that feeling of coming inward. If we're not prepared, if you're not prepared and don't understand what's happening, then it can start to feel really uneasy. And it can be easy to be hard on yourself, because this is the time when the inner critic comes out in the waning moon phase. It's like a self-review, a review of the last cycle, what worked, what didn't work, and ultimately it's a time of destruction. It's a death cycle, because we're looking at what worked, what didn't work, what we want to keep, and what we want to destroy. And so this is truly a cycle of, or a phase of destruction. And so if you're not deeply rooted in a strong self-love and acceptance practice, then you can start to see all of these things coming to the surface that, oh, that didn't work really well. Oh, this didn't feel good. And it might start to feel overwhelming. Ooh, I'm getting chills just talking about it. If you don't have these practices to, okay, I recognize what's going on, and I know that this is a phase that I'm moving through. I know that this isn't me, and I will give you some tips and tools at the end of the video of what you can do. But keep that in mind, that this is the time when that inner critic is gonna come out. As these realizations are coming up, be mindful, notice, are you judging yourself for all of these things that didn't work out, all of these things that that you didn't do. Looking back and saying, what did I want to get done? What didn't I do? And you can either really be hard on yourself for not doing them, or you can say, you know what, that's okay. It wasn't supposed to get done. And what are the action steps that I'm going to take? And that's what happens in the waxing moon, is we start to work on action steps. Now let's talk about your internal waning moon, so the time between ovulation and bleeding. If you're getting close to your bleeding time, you might start to notice changes in your body. Maybe your breasts start to get really tender. Maybe there's water retention and starting to put on some extra weight. What this is signs of stagnation. And the thing is, it always starts in the energy body. We can say, oh, it's estrogen. Okay, sure, but someone can eat foods that are estrogenic but have really good clearance. And so if you're not clearing, then of course you're going to have high estrogen, and yes, that is going to contribute to breast tenderness and water retention. However, there can also, or in addition, there can also be stagnant emotions. And this is what can start to cause maybe your mood shifts right before you start your bleeding time. Maybe you're really easily frustrated, or you can just burst into tears on a dime. And this is an excellent cue that there are stagnant emotions. And, we hear this word PMS, premenstrual syndrome, but like, what does that even mean? Like, what do those words even mean? It doesn't actually tell us anything. I like to say that the words are, please move slower. And so if you're noticing symptoms of PMS, really it's your body saying to you, hey, there's something to look at. Either you need to move slower, or in the last cycle, you weren't allowing things to move. There wasn't a free flow. Or they're stuck, unprocessed emotions. So if you're noticing that you get super angry or really frustrated easily, or you feel really sad and you're crying a lot, there's stuck, unprocessed emotions there. So doing the work to dive into those emotions, don't push them away, because this is the time when you're most supported to go inward. This is the time when you can truly transmute those emotions that have been stuck. So things to do, shake, a shaking practice. And you really don't need anything. You can put on a song that pumps you up. You can do it to no music at all. You can do it anywhere, anytime. Maybe it'll feel weird for you if there's someone around, maybe if you're out in public. But if, go to the bathroom and just shake, bounce through your knees, rock your pelvis back and forth, and just move your body and breathe into your belly, breathe into your womb, and just shake. That is the cheapest, easiest, quickest way to start to move things around. The other least expensive, easiest, quickest way is water. Drink water. I fill this bottle up twice a day. So make sure that you're drinking a lot of water, especially at this time. Journaling. There's so much that wants to come up to the surface to be seen, so that it can be transmuted, so that it can be loved, so that it can be acknowledged. Journal. It's so therapeutic. It's so healthy. So it doesn't even have to be a fancy journal. It can be a note in your phone. I mean, ideally, you want to put technology down. I don't want to say you want to, but it would be best if you put technology down, let those electromagnetic frequencies stay over there and just use a pen and paper. It can be scribbles, it can be a mind dump, it doesn't even have to make sense. Just put your pen or pencil to the paper and write whatever comes up. You might be really surprised about what comes out and also how you feel afterwards. Self-love practices. So here are two that are my favorite and they're really easy. Look in a mirror and you say, I love you. This is the foundational self-love practice. You look in a mirror and 15 times you say, I love you. So that's number one. And the other one is to start using different affirmations. So you can say, I forgive you 15 times to yourself in the mirror. You can say, I allow you to be exactly as you are. And if you're not in front of a mirror, then just say it to yourself. I love myself with one hand on your heart, the other hand on your womb. I love myself. Say it 15 times. I forgive myself. Say it 15 times. I allow myself to be exactly as I am. And if you start to notice emotion come up, please let it be there. Don't push it back down. Anytime you start to get choked up, an emotion starts to come up, doesn't have to be sadness, it can be anger, it can be frustration, it can be resentment, it can any emotion whatsoever. As soon as you start to feel it, that means that it is ready to come up and be cleared. And if you push it back down, then what you're doing is you are compacting your emotions. And emotion is energy in motion. So if you are not expressing your emotions, if you are not allowing them to flow like water, then they're getting stuck in your body. It's going to cause stagnation. It's going to cause aches and pains. And it may very well, at one point, cause an illness or a dis-ease in the body. That's the root of all illness and dis-ease in the body, is stuck, trapped, unprocessed energy, emotion. And then the last little tip is to have those challenging conversations. If there's a conversation that you've been wanting to have, that you've kind of been putting off, now is the time. Now is the time to have those conversations and those talks that feel a little uncomfortable. You are so supported at this time. The waning moon, the outer waning moon, as well as your internal waning moon, to have those challenging conversations. And to simply have conversations with the people around you, the people who might be affected by all of these shifts that you're going through. It took me a moment, but at one point I realized, oh my gosh, I'm having arguments with my partner right before my bleeding time in my waning moon. This is when I'm having the most arguments with my partner. And once I clued into that, then things began to change. Because first and foremost, I was able to say to him, look, I'm about to start bleeding and everything you do is frustrating me. I love you and it really has nothing to do with you. Like not even a little bit. I'm just in a place where everything is frustrating me because everything's coming to the surface, and he got it. So if there's someone in your space, if you're living with people, if there are people that you communicate with often who are going to notice or be affected in some way by all of the changes that are happening for you, have those conversations with them. Let them know. This is a great way to take responsibility for what's going on for you, and also to ask for support. To say, hey, this is what's happening for me, and I could really use some extra compassion right now. I would really love it if you could just remember that I'm in a really tender place right now, and that's what I could use right now, is some extra love and compassion. So now is the waning moon phase, the outer waning moon. It relates and mirrors your internal waning moon, which is the time between ovulation and your bleeding time. And especially with what's coming up globally, with what we're all experiencing, this could be a very challenging waning moon, because we're already coming inward and now we're being encouraged to go even deeper. So be gentle with yourself, be loving with yourself. Know that I'm always here for support, and I love you very much.